Hey everybody, thank you so much for stopping by the channel. I appreciate it so much. If you are new, please consider subscribing. Now, the topic I want to talk about today, as you see, is about people getting in your business as a witness, okay? And the hard lesson that many of us as kids have to learn, that we're unable to question even at a young age, even our parents sometimes, and we're unable to get satisfactory answers about certain things. So this particular situation that I'm talking about for me kind of shaped everything. It was such a small thing, but it shaped my whole mentality when it came to understanding that even when it comes to talking to my parents and asking questions and trying to get clarification, because they're so indoctrinated also, a lot of times I'm not going to get a satisfactory answer. I mean, that's what this instilled in me. So basically what it was when I was probably about in 8th or ninth grade, something like that, I was walking home from the bus stop. Now, we had a group of kids that lived in the same direction, right? So it would just be that as we're walking, one kid would go or two kids would go down this street, blah, blah, blah. So we get closer and closer, like to my house. I was pretty much the last person to get home. But towards the end, it would just end up being like me and this one boy. Okay. So this boy was not a boy that I liked. It wasn't a boy. He didn't like me. You know what I mean? We just went to school and had classes together and rode the bus. That's it. So one time I was having the same, after school routine, walking from the bus, and I guess an elder saw me, right? So he decided to tell my dad. My dad talked to me and was very kind of accusatory at the beginning about me being with a boy, right? So I had to tell him, well, no, I wasn't. I mean, I don't like that boy. We were just walking home from school, blah, blah, blah. Basically told him the same thing I told you as far as the route and how we were walking together. And well, my dad had he was like, well, we don't want to bring reproach upon Jehovah. And I'm like, in what way? And he said, well, somebody saw you. Like, he didn't want to tell me who it was, but he said somebody saw you and they didn't feel very comfortable with you walking with a boy. And I'm like, why didn't they feel comfortable? Well, I mean, it wasn't like I was kissing him. I wasn't holding his hand. What was there to feel uncomfortable about? He was a boy from my school. Well, Tawana, you know how things can look sometimes, so you got to be very careful. I'm like, Dad, okay, but what was there to be careful about? I'm telling you what happened. I'm walking from school. We walk in the same direction. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to walk faster than everybody? Walk slower than everybody? Am I supposed to tell you I can't walk with you? Really? Like you don't expect me to do that? Well, I don't know how you have to do it, but we're going to need to make sure because we have to be aware. Anybody can see you, and you don't want to offend anybody, blah, blah, blah. So I was so irritated about that. And then so I asked my dad a question that I know he just couldn't answer because it made too much sense. I said, well, Dad, aren't we supposed to witness to people at school? I mean, how do you know, or how did that brother know that I wasn't witnessing to him? Well, of course he doesn't know that, Tawana, so blah, blah, blah. And, then he basically shut down the conversation. Just don't walk with him anymore. We just don't want to offend anybody. And so what is the problem? My question is, what is the problem with offending? Like, okay, let me back up. First of all, why were they in our business? Why was they in my business? Like, that's not even anything to be in somebody's business about. The scriptures talk about not meddling in other people's affairs, right? So why are you in my business? But because they want to have this mentality that, certain things can bring reproach on Jehovah, I guess that was their thing. Why you can be in somebody's business. They felt like it was in the interest of not bringing reproach upon Jehovah. But this really makes absolutely no sense because this is clearly a man's ideology. Why would the Creator, I'm going to just say Jehovah, why would Jehovah be looking down upon me, a witness girl who is faithful? He knows what I do. I read, I study the watchtowers, I comment at the meetings, I talk out at the doors, I'm very faithful. I was baptized at that point. Why would he be looking down and feeling offended by me walking home from school with a boy just because he was a boy? Just because he was the opposite sex. Jehovah wouldn't be offended about that. I mean, if you really think that, then you really have a weird idea about what God is and the way God probably would consider something. So then, if they were to be honest, it's not about what Jehovah would feel. It's about what they feel. But it's always presented to us as something that Jehovah would feel, bringing reproach upon his name, making other witnesses be uncomfortable because they see this. So at a very young age, I got a very bad taste in my mouth about that. Like, I hated the whole concept of caring about what people thought. And that actually carried on for me as I grew up and got out of the religion. Certain things that I developed, the mindset that I developed as a witness, carried on. And so now I don't think of something as if somebody thinks, of course it's not about bringing reproach upon Jehovah, of course. But just that judgmental attitude, looking at somebody and trying to, care about what they do and determine why you think they're doing it or whatever. I personally do not do that to people. And I can't stand when they do it to me. And I know that my disdain for that came because of that whole foundation. And it's just crazy to me how they're like that, and then I couldn't ask my dad for clarification. And I could, but he didn't tell me anything that made sense. It pretty much just boiled down to, you just got to fall in line. And, we got to not only be a certain way for, people in the world, worldly people, we also got to be a certain way to not offend the friends. And so that was crazy to me. But another thing that I know we all had to deal with is fake people in the congregation. Just being fake. Now, I know that you guys know, witnesses, these little bugs keep flying, sorry you guys, that we were supposed to be the happy people, right? Always happy. And that in itself is very fake because nobody is always happy. Nobody's always happy. And so we would be that way to try to show, I wouldn't say show off, but, encourage the friends, right? You have to put on this happy face at the Kingdom Hall so you can encourage one another up, build up, lift one another, and also be that way so that when new ones come in, they can see us as this happy people. That is so fake to me. That is so fake to me. But I didn't really see how fake it was until I got this fellowship. Because I before I got this fellowship, of course, I knew people getting this fellowship before. But until it actually happened to me, I didn't know that people actually didn't make eye contact with people when they were disfellowship. Because I don't remember not trying to make eye contact with somebody when they were disfellowship. So there was these two particular sisters that I was close to, these two older sisters. Because I used to be the type of person, like, I would have my people that I hung around that was younger. But I always got along with, like, the older, sisters, like my mom's age and stuff. And so there was these two sisters that I used to just go out in service with all the time, and I just used to love them. So once I got disfellowshipped, it seemed like they was the main ones. Just whenever I would walk by, avert their eyes, so as not to make eye contact with me, or if one of them happened to be in the bathroom and I was in there and, can't make eye contact when you washing your hands, just look away and all that type of stuff. I was like, wow, that's deep. You can't even make eye contact with me? So when I got reinstated, they were the two that came over there so quick and acted so happy to see me. And I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, it just made me almost sick to my stomach because it was so fake. Because it's like, you've been seeing me this whole time, so don't act like you haven't seen me. And now I understand. I knew that they wasn't going to be able to talk to me. So it's not about that. It's just about not even making eye contact with me. Like, that's what was crazy to me. So then to see you come over there, oh honey, you're back, oh, and trying to give me a hug, I gave him the fakest hug. Like, I mean, normally I was like real with it when I give somebody a hug, really a good strong hug, but I gave them a fake hug, and I was just like, and after that it just never was the same. I never had that respect for them anymore. I never did. And it just made me a different person. But actually, I kind of am happy about that because it made me a better person, in my opinion. You know, I would definitely say that it made me not a fake person at all. I cannot stand being fake. I can't stand people who are fake. And a lot of times I can see right through it because I was so used to pointing that out or seeing that, when I was a witness. So yeah, it's like a radar goes off when I see something fake. But the last thing that happened that was, with a witness that kind of really, really made me see how fake they can be sometimes was this one particular sister. And of course I say sister because, you know, I just refer to it the way y'all would refer to it if you're witnesses. I grew up with her since we were in the same congregation since I was in probably like third grade. So by the time I left the organization, right, I was still working at a job that she actually helped me get. We was in customer service. And at this particular time, I had been inactive for maybe a couple of years, but we still worked together. So there were stairs at the job. So it was either she was coming up and I was going down, or vice versa, right? And we crossed each other's paths. Now, I wasn't disfellowship, I wasn't disassociated. None of that ever happened when towards me, the end of me leaving. So it wasn't like she couldn't talk to me technically, but she obviously knew I was inactive. So we crossed paths, and she was like, "Hey, sweetie, how you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not too good." But I think I was sick or something, right? And she said, "Oh, that's great," and she just kept going. And I was like, I had to do a double take. And I'm like, what the. So obviously, she didn't hear me. Okay, people do this, but because I knew her so well, I knew, because she didn't even stop. Like, she was saying hi and keep on going. I knew she was doing that because I was no longer going to the meetings. Because normally she would have stopped and talked to me. She wouldn't have just kept going. So for her to do that and say, "That's great," and just keep walking, I was like, you know what? That is just so irritating, you know? But, yeah, I mean, I know y'all have dealt with some of these situations. What did it do to you? Did it cause you to, become a certain way? Did it cause you to be kind of sensitive to these things when dealing with other people, like after you've left? Because I know for me, that's what it did for me. I can't stand people getting all up in my business. I don't like getting in people's business and judging them and looking at what they're doing, paying attention to what they're doing. I don't do that. And I am definitely not fake, and I can't stand fake people. And that came from the way I was raised. So just let me know what you guys think about that. If that actually, if these things actually affected you. So anyway, that's pretty much it for today. Next week, the topic is going to be a little bit heavier. So yeah, I won't reveal what that's going to be about, but I will see you next week, and I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you have a great day. Take care.